Yes, them have the heart of a pagan. The children have the heart of a lion, I know. Evil a move with Satan. Righteous trod in the countenance of the Almighty One. Them have the heart of demons. The children have the heart of a lion, I know. Evil a move with Satan. Righteous walk in the countenance of the Almighty One. Good people see hostility rising daily.
Shalom. This is the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge in Atlanta, Georgia. Okay, the subject we're going to break down today is we're going to compare Egypt to America. We're going to compare the slavery that was in Egypt to today in America. You understand? Because our forefathers, you know what I'm saying, were in slavery in Egypt, in the land of Egypt. And the scriptures prophesied how we will go into slavery again with ships to Egypt a second time. I mean, again, so we're going to compare how that Egypt is talking about America, and how America is spiritually Egypt. You understand? If you look into America, look at American history, there's a lot of Egyptology in there. But that's like another subject. You understand? Like the statues and things that they have in Washington D.C. A lot of that goes back to ancient Egypt. But we're just going to prove the condition, pieces of the condition in America. Compare it to how it was literally in the land of Egypt thousands of years ago. You understand? Remember too that we have classes being held at the Central Branch Library in downtown Atlanta. So if you're in the Atlanta area and you want to come to classes, you can come to the Central Branch Library on Saturdays from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Any questions you have on classes or class schedules, you can call 404-997-9123. You can also call that number if you have any questions on previous subjects or breakdowns. You understand? The first book we're going to turn to, alright, is in Exodus, the first chapter. We'll start at the 7th verse. It says, "And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly and multiplied and waxed exceeding mighty, and the land was filled with them." Okay, so this is talking about in Egypt, in the land of Egypt, there was Israelites, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. You understand? So we were in Egypt, and we increased so much. We had, you know, children upon children upon children. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of us living in the land of Egypt, and we lived there for hundreds of years. You understand? Verse 8. "Now there rose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph." Okay, so when it says this, is our brother Joseph, our forefather Joseph, was in Egypt and had a very high ranking in Egypt. You understand? Like second to Pharaoh. Had a very high ranking in Egypt, but this new king came and did not know Joseph. You understand? So he wouldn't recognize him being anything in Egypt. You understand? Verse 9. "And he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we." Okay, so he's saying the children that's coming up in Egypt, the Israelites, we're having so many babies, there's so many of us, we're damn near outnumbering the Egyptians. You know what I'm saying? There's so many of us coming about, is that he's looking at the condition like there's so many Israelites that it seems that we're getting like more than the Egyptians. Verse 10. It says, "Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land." Understand? So the king of Egypt now is worried about the Israelites growing so strong and so abundantly that if they go into a war, we join into their enemies and take them over. Meaning we can actually take them over because we have so many numbers. You understand? The key part is in this scripture, it says, "Come on, let us deal wisely with them." You understand? That's a precept. Precept in Psalms. Turn to Psalms 83. Start at verse, let's see, verse 3. It reads, "They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and have consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, Come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. You understand? So the king of Egypt did this 1,000 years ago, but this also precepts even unto today, that the so-called white man and leaders of other nations, they know who we are. They know we are the children of Israel. It's documented. They know it. You understand? Like the peons of the so-called white man may not understand it or know it, and some of our people don't understand it or know it. You understand? They think we African or this and that. But the higher ups or the so-called elite, you know what I mean? They're not elite. They're dumb white men too. But they understand that we are the so-called, we are the Hebrew Israelites. You know what I'm saying? So the whole earth benefits off the slavery of the Hebrew Israelites. You understand? The Africans, the Arabs, the Chinese, the so-called white man. You understand? Everyone benefits off our slavery. So they have dealt wisely with us to tell us that we African, to tell us that we American, to tell us that everybody's equal, to just cut our name off, tell us that we niggas and spicks, you know what I mean, wetbacks. They dealt wisely with us to let us know that we are not the chosen people. But when you read the scriptures, we find out that we are the chosen people. You understand? So dealing wisely with us, or you know what I'm saying, being crafty, meaning they're in alignment with each other to make sure we never find out who we are. But under the Spirit of the Most High in Christ, and under the commanding General Yahanna, we find out that we are the Hebrew Israelites, and we're going to bring out the truth. And saying that'll wake up the people. Go back to Exodus, verse 11. Therefore, they did set over them taskmasters, to afflict them with their burdens. And they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramesses. You understand? So what do they do? Taskmasters. You understand? So even in our terms, we call that, you know, overseer or supervisor or a manager. You understand? To manage us. You know what I mean? To make sure that we're doing what they want us to do. You understand? Same thing. 1,000 years ago in Egypt, even to today. You go to work, you got a taskmaster, you got a manager, you got a supervisor. Make sure you work hard, you understand? Like, I mean, it's like in America, all we do is work or slave, for like better words, is to slave, to get money just to give it back. You know what I'm saying? Just to pay rent, just to pay for your water, your electricity. All we do is work and slave just to survive. You understand? And that's what's going on in Egypt. That's what's going on even unto today. Verse 11. You know what I'm saying? Verse 11, Slakia. Verse 12, Slakia. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. And they were grieved because of the children of Israel. Today, like if you look at slavery, like American slavery, with all the lynchings, the murders, the castrations, the rape, I mean, all the atrocities, the civil rights, the beatings, the jails. You know what I'm saying? 7,000 black men die every year of another black man. The prisons. I mean, we only make up like what, 13% of the population or something like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? But everything that's been done to us, we're still here, and we're still like going out in the streets and teaching. You know what I mean? So it's like the more they do to us, it's like we know we're the chosen people because we still here. You know what I'm saying? Everything they did to the Native Americans, to the Hispanics, to the so-called blacks, like we still here. We still a people. We still a demographic. But they've done so much to us. All the abortion, all the like everything, all the experiments they did on us, we still here. You understand? Like even in Egypt, it's like the same thing. Verse 13. And the Egyptians make the children of Israel to serve with rigor. You know what I'm saying? So hard, you know what I mean? Our work was hard. It was rigorous. You know what I'm saying? Just the blood, sweat, and the tears. Like, you know what I'm saying? That was in Egypt. That's today. You know what I mean? We built up America. Without the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, there would be no America as you know it today. You know what I'm saying? We built everything in here. You know what I'm saying? Verse 14. And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage in in mortar and in brick, and in all manner of service in the field. All their service wherein they made them was with rigor. So just hard work, slavery. You know what I'm saying? You go work that job, that slavery. You know what I'm saying? You build up the white man's kingdom. You know what I'm saying? That's the same thing in America today. We work with rigor. You know what I'm saying? There's no parents in the house. Everybody got to work. The mom and the dad got to work. I mean, endless hours. The kids is off to their own devices. They come home and do what they do because they kids and reckless. You know what I'm saying? There's no parents at home because everyone's working. You know what I'm saying? Just to survive, just to keep the house up. You know what I'm saying? Just to keep the water running, just to keep the gas on to cook. Like, we never really live, we just survive. We just do what we got to do to stay breathing. You know what I mean? Just to stay eating. You know what I'm saying? So that's what happened in Egypt. That's what's happening even unto today. This Bible is prophecy showing how black people will live even unto today. No other so-called religion can show you that. No Book of the Dead or no Egyptologist give you like the beginning of black people, the middle and the end, like to show you where you was and where you at right now in the land that you in right now, and then what could happen. Like, there's no book that will do that except for the Bible, but we reject the Bible. You know what I'm saying? But let's read on. And it said, verse 15, and the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of the one was Shepharah, and the name of the other Puah. Verse 16, and he said, when ye do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then ye shall kill him, but if it be a daughter, then ye shall live. What does this mean? The king of Egypt was saying, like abortion, you should kill the man-child. It's saying of the Hebrew women. Why the man-child? Sabor is saying because basically what it's saying is a man-child creates a nation. Like, he knew you could keep the Hebrew women alive, like the women children alive, because they don't make up a nation. They don't create Israelites. You know what I'm saying? It takes a man's seed to make an Israelite. Because they know if an Egyptian man has sex with a Hebrew woman, that child's still going to be an Egyptian. He's not going to be one of us. But you got to kill the man-child because that will make more Hebrew Israelite men. You know what I'm saying? And this is what you will call today in America, this is what you will call Planned Parenthood. You know what I'm saying? Planned Parenthood, or AKA Planned Parenthood, was made to make sure blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indian men did not keep having more children. Like the syphilis that they injected brothers in with the Tuskegee experiments and all the trying to make the black men sterile and abortions. It's to make sure that we do not keep increasing in America, understand? But we do. You understand? We know we're the chosen people. This is 1,000 years ago. These are like thousands of years ago prophecies, and it's still going on today. You had Planned Parenthood back then. You got Planned Parenthood today. You know what I'm saying? Planned Parenthood is focused on the ghettos, focused on blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. You understand? Verse 16, and he said, when you do, okay, verse 17, but the midwives feared God, and did not as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the men and children alive. But these midwives were righteous, and they would not do what Pharaoh said. They would follow the laws of the Most High, and they would keep these men-child alive. You understand? So they followed the Most High. Verse 18, and the king of Egypt called for the midwives, and said unto them, why have ye done this thing, and have saved the men children alive? Now he wants to know why the Hebrew women didn't kill the men child. You know what I'm saying? Why they didn't do it. Verse 19. And the midwife said unto Pharaoh, because the Hebrew women are not as the Egyptian women, for they are lively and are delivered ere the midwives come in unto them. Alright? If you look up this word E-R-E, it means before. So let's read it by the definition. It says, and the midwife said unto them, and the midwife said unto Pharaoh, because the Hebrew women are not as the Egyptian women, for they are lively and are delivered before the midwives coming unto them. Meaning it does not take a long time for these Hebrew women to have children, to make the baby. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not like the Egyptian women where it takes hours and hours and hours for the baby to come. By that time, the midwives could come, you know what I'm saying, deliver the baby and kill it and say maybe the baby was born dead. You know what I'm saying? Like, by the time the midwives come, the baby's alive. The Hebrew woman's holding the baby is alive and kicking, so they can't come and kill it. There's no excuse. You know what I'm saying? So basically, you're saying the Hebrew wives are not like the Egyptians. The Hebrew women are not like the Egyptian women. And the midwives were saying this to Pharaoh because they were not going to kill these babies. They were going to keep these black men alive, these Hispanic men alive, and these Native American men alive. They was not going to kill these people. You understand? They wasn't going to do it. Okay, verse 20. Therefore God dealt with the midwives, and the people multiplied and waxed very mighty. So the Lord was with those midwives because they followed the law. Even though the Egyptian king was saying kill them, they wouldn't do it because they followed the Most High. Just like, you gonna have some sisters in America who ain't gonna go with the white man's program. She won't get abortions. She won't promote abortions. She'll promote the life of black men. She'll honor black men. You know what I'm saying? There's gonna be some sisters like that, and that's righteous, and that's what the Most High is gonna deal with. You can have some righteous sisters. You can have some sisters who's really, honorable. You know what I'm saying? By keeping the Most High's laws. Let's see, verse 21. And it came to pass, because the midwives feared God, that he made them houses. And Pharaoh charged all his people, saying, every son that is born ye shall cast into the river, and every daughter ye shall save alive. Just basically saying again, the king of Egypt wanted the black man dead. Just like in America, they want the black man dead, the Hispanic man dead, the so-called Native American man dead. You understand? But the midwives wouldn't do it. There's going to be some sisters that don't do it. You know what I mean? Brothers, you know what I mean? So we just basically compared this. It's like the same slavery that happened in Egypt is happening in America. Like, to understand America, you got to understand Egypt. You understand? And it's in the Bible. With that, if you have any questions, call 404-997-9123. Remember that we have classes being held in Central Branch Library in downtown Atlanta. Remember to pay your tithes, 10% whatever you get. Pay 10% to the school, ISUPK.com. Your tithes and donations. So with that, I'm going to say shalom.
Yes, them have the heart of a pagan. The children have the heart of a lion, I know. Evil a move with Satan. Righteous trod in the countenance of the Almighty One. Them have the heart of demons. The children have the heart of a lion, I know. Evil a move with Satan. Righteous walk in the countenance of the Almighty One. Poor people see hostility rising daily. Ignorant multiply brutality. I see that they run gone left mommy. Fi struggle the hard road with fight beginning. Our I see baby having baby. Nothing that